Welcome, friend. My name's Chris. I'm from Transformation Nation Yoga and Wellness. Welcome to Chakra Yoga. So, the format for today is going to be yin, and we're going to be focusing on Swadhisthana, the sacral chakra. What I think you'll need to be safe, to enjoy, and to get the most out of your practice are a yoga mat and blanket, such as I have behind me here, two foam or cork yoga blocks, and a bolster. Now, my experience has been if there's one prop that the majority of people maybe don't have that are less likely to have, it's going to be a bolster. That's okay. If you don't have a bolster and your practice would be supported by a similar prop, rather than using pillows, get you something that gives you some resistance, like a couch cushion, something you likely have in your house, makes a really nice surrogate for a yoga bolster. So pause your recording. Roll out your mat, gather up your props, and when you're ready, press play and I'll meet you on your mat for Chakra Yoga. All right, so we're going to start seated and set yourself up with a long spine, the stacked joints with your head floating over your shoulders, over your hips. Lengthen out of the crown of your head toward the stars on an inhale. And then maintain that length along your spine as you exhale, let your soft tissues fold down toward the earth. So we're going to do a cleansing breath, and then we'll exhale the sound VAM, V-A-M, 3 times. Exhale out all your breath, and then draw in a deep, deep, life-affirming inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, let it go with a ha sound. And then again, 3 times. I'll cue for an inhale, and you could choose to join me for a VAM. It's like making the Om sound, but the sound VAM for as long as you can exhale. Inhale. VAM. Inhale. Inhale. Come back to a natural breath. If you chose to leave your eyes open there, that's fine. But at this point, if you feel safe and comfortable, I'd encourage you to close your eyes down. You always can opt to leave your eyes open with a soft gaze. But if it feels safe, try closing them down. And I'd like you to start to visualize a seed, a small seed, a bija, in the center of your pelvis. And it's a microscopic seed, like the size of an alfalfa seed, teeny weeny. And start to feed and nurture that seed by directing your attention and each breath toward that seed. As you direct your breath and your attention to that seed, just start to notice what's the effect on the seed, if any. If you've ever soaked seeds, like soak them in water, even just overnight, the first thing that happens is the seed husk starts to take on water, so it swells. And often they get a little bit of a glossy, a little bit of a shiny appearance. Continue directing your breath and your attention toward your seed. And begin to notice a sprout starting very small. Could be mistaken for a hair at first. But as you breathe towards your sprout, notice it bifurcates, it splits off on the top. It starts with two teeny green leaves. And your sprout may be growing faster now. A seed has to work really hard to break out of the husk, but once it's free, often the growth is quite significant. Maybe that sprout is white at the base, but growing, increasing in darkness in the color green as you get closer out toward the leaves. But just continue to attend to your sprout, feeding it with breath, feeding it with your attention. Now I notice your sprout is becoming a proper plant. It's greener and darker. Looks a lot less frail. It's a more substantial growth. And more leaves, more branches. And up where the branches split at the top, you start to notice the beginnings of a flower. Right now, the petals of that flower are closed. So it needs more nurturance, more tender care and attention from you, more breath. As you continue feeding your flower and your plant with your breath and your attention, the petals begin to open. And the flower can take any shape that your mind creates for the flower. Notice the color, bright, radiant orange. It's a lovely flower, born from our creative capacity. Know that you can come back to your creative capacity here from the center of our bodies anytime you want. I'm going to start to transition into our first yin pose. You could do this with closed eyes. It's going to be a very subtle transition, or you could gently blink your eyes open. But from your seated position, bring the soles of your feet together. Let the pinky edge blades of your feet rest on the earth. Maybe walk the hands forward a bit, but then flip the palms up toward the stars. Another option here is elbows on the inner thighs and providing some form of support for your face and head. You could do the Macaulay Culkin, or you could place your thumbs in the inside upper eye socket in both eyes. Allow gravity to draw your knees down toward the earth. So no need to press them down, but if you notice sometimes what happens for me is I have some muscular engagement, some gripping of the muscles, especially in the deep six lateral hip rotators, that prevents my knees from draping down to their full potential. It's okay. But if you notice that, see if you can begin to let that go. And look for a level of sensation somewhere that's you would describe as a threshold between discomfort and pain. So it might be in the groin, it might be in the back body. And I'm going to ask you to turn some words over in your head in each of the poses today. And just like if there was a pose that I gave you that was hurting your body, that wasn't good for your body, I would hope, expect, and support you in modifying it, doing a different pose, finding an alternate, or opting out. If I give you a phrase to go over in your mind, if it's not good for your psyche, if it doesn't feel right, I would ask you to do the same thing. You just not do it. You could also modify it or find an alternate that's affirming and supportive of you and your practice. But to start, try this. I am living a pleasurable life. And check in with your body. Notice your current level of sensation. If you've opened up some space and your body's asking for more sensation, you could draw your head and your heart closer to the earth. Here, I think you could even tuck your chin in towards your chest, and that will really change the kind of sensation you get. Start to move into our next transition. So if you would, think about stacking the joints first. So maybe even walk the hands up until your head floats over your shoulders, over your hips. And we're going to move into a squat. So you could do a squat with your seat up against the wall. You could do a squat with a block or a bolster under your seat. I prefer your heels be touching something. I'm going to place my heels on my bolster, lower my seat down toward the bolster. And you can just let your arms and your hands, your fingers, your forehead all fall down toward the earth. And the words that I'll ask you to turn over in your head here are I trust my feelings and give them ample room for expression. I trust my feelings and give them ample room for expression. Check in, notice if you've got any gripping, and then see if you can let that go. Using good body mechanics, however you want to make this transition, start to shift into any resting position on your belly. So it might be a belly shavasana. Could be a half frog. For a half frog, goal, post your arms out to the side, maybe shift your gaze to the left. Lift the left leg along the earth. Start to slide. If you chose half frog, start to slide that lifted knee back in line with your other. And then take one forearm parallel to the top edge of your mat. Stack the other on top of it. You can leave the forehead lifted for now if you like, or you could drop your forehead down on the back of one of your wrists. But start reaching your right leg long behind you. pressing through the heel of your right foot toward whatever wall or surface is behind you, and then start lifting your right leg so the back of the right leg lifts up off the earth. All right, so notice where you feel engagement, probably in the left hip flexor, probably in the lower back on the right side of your body. Core is probably engaged. And then gently set your right foot down. Start reaching your left heel back behind you. Lift your left leg. Continue to breathe. Then lower your left leg down. One breath here. And then start pressing both heels back behind you. Lift both legs up off the earth. You won't be able to lift them as far, lifting both as you did for one at a time. That's okay. And lower both legs down. Maybe release your forehead to the back of your wrist if you haven't. Start pressing your right hip point down into the earth. Release on the right, press down on the left side. We're just rocking the hips back and forth. Then come into stillness and start to slide your elbows up onto your forearms. You're going to transition to Sphinx. It'll be a fairly short Sphinx. Place a block in between your wrists at the highest height. Lengthen the legs long behind you and then relax everything from your lower back to your toes. Maybe flip your palms up toward the stars. Maybe release your forehead down to the block. And the words that I'll ask you to turn over your head in your head here are, I embrace and celebrate my sexuality. I embrace and celebrate my sexuality. You can lift your forehead up from your block, set the block aside, lower your heart down to the earth, and then slide your hands under your shoulders. Press up into tabletop. On the way, grab a bolster, place your bolster under your heart. And then starting with your shoulders floating over your wrists and your hips floating over your knees, we're going to go into frog. So turn your toes to the outside. Start sliding your knees out to past the side edges of your mat. As you slide the knees out, walk your ankles out in line with your knees. Notice a tendency for the hips to come forward. See if you can resist that. Press the hips back so they're in line with your knees from side to side, and then lower your heart down onto your bolster. And the words I'll ask you to turn over in your head are, I am honoring my body and treating myself respectfully. I am honoring my body and treating myself respectfully. Check in again. Look for any kind of gripping, maybe in the inner thighs, maybe in your belly. And see if you can soften. Anywhere you find firmness here, see where you can soften. Check in with your body. Notice your current level of sensation. And only if you're called, if your body is asking for more sensation, slide your knees and ankles further out to the side, or lower your heart and head closer to the earth, which might involve moving the bolster. I'm at a 7 already. I'm not going to change a thing. I'm going to stay right here. But you have the flexibility and the freedom either time to add sensation, take away, or stay the same. All right, we're going to start this transition. Allow the crown of your head to rock forward, more of your body coming onto the bolster until your hips approach the earth. You can slide your legs back behind you. Bring your hands under your shoulders. You can leave the bolster right here if you like. You could move it. We're going to go into camel. So grab a couple blocks, maybe. I'm going to place one block in between my inner thighs. And I'm going to choose to tuck the toes. The toes don't have to be tucked. That's one option. And then squeeze the block in between the inner thighs. Place your hands on your glutes like they were in the back pocket of denim jeans. Start tweezing your elbows back behind you, pressing your hips forward. Lift out of your heart for the stars. Maybe drop the crown of your head back behind you. I'm not going to choose to do that, but it is one option. Keep pressing the hips forward, keep tweezing the elbows together. Squeeze your legs so your glutes engage. If you drop the crown of your head back behind you, tuck your chin in towards your chest, start to stack the joints here. Bring your head, shoulders, hips, knees all in line. You can release the blocks. Come into tabletop, and just to release that, we're going to do cat rolling, a calf cat sequence just as a counter stretch. So on an inhale, maybe tuck your toes, but drop your belly down toward the earth, lift your gaze, pull the heels of your hands back toward your knees. Exhale, press into your hands, your shins, the tops of your feet. Release your chin to your chest. Keep flowing through this at the cadence and the pace of your own breath. And start to approach stillness. From tabletop, we're going to transition to dragon. Step your right foot forward. I'm going to slide the bolster out of the way here just for a second. Maybe right hand comes behind your right heel. Slide your right foot forward. Maybe tuck your toes under your left foot. Walk your left knee further back behind you. Now, options, I'm going to choose to start with my hands on blocks and truly stacked joints. But the bolster here is all staged. Even right now, if you wanted to come down onto hands or forearms on the bolster, that's an option. It's one of many options. The words I'll ask you to turn over your head here are, I'm allowing my creativity to flow through me freely. I'm allowing my creativity to flow through me freely. Check in for gripping. Notice if you're gripping. If there's gripping, there's pretty likely, if you're staying upright here, to be some gripping in the upper bodies and shoulder. I'm less concerned about that. Where we're looking to add some potentially really lengthen out tissues is really in the lower body here. So the hip AD adductors on the left side, deep six lateral hip rotators on the left side, hip flexors. So if you have to pick where there's gripping, pick upper body, but even if you can minimize it there, it'd be really nice. Check in with your body. Notice your current level of sensation. You could stay right here. If you wanted to maybe get more into hips, you could lift your head, lift your gaze, lift your heart a little bit more, release the hips a little bit more. You could also, if you're still upright, start to fold onto the inside, maybe onto a bolster, onto blocks, onto your forearm. I'm going to stay lifted. We're going to start to transition out of this and start pressing into your right heel. Straighten your right leg. Find a little bit of a half split. So I'm going to choose to stay a little bit lifted, but lengthen out the back of your right leg. You can shift forward again, but allow enough slack that you can bring your hands to the earth, slide your right knee back to tabletop, and then change sides. Step your left foot forward. Maybe scoot that left foot forward a little bit. Maybe slide your right knee back a little bit. And then come into your version of dragon to start. Remember that Annie's hot bath metaphor. We skillfully come into a yin pose, adding a little sensation at a time. I'm allowing my creativity to flow through me freely. Check in with your body. And then you can stay exactly where you are, or you could change the sensation in whatever way best serves you. We're going to move into our counter stretch. So start to lift yourself up, more or less stacking the joints first, and then press into your left heel, straighten your left leg, come back into a really high half split. And then you can start to shift forward again, come back into tabletop. And we're going to transition into a restorative fish. So options are to use a bolster. This is not what I'm going to choose. I want a little more sensation in the thoracic spine. But place the bottom of the bolster at about bra strap level. I'd encourage butterfly legs, but you could also do straight legs. And if you can, tee your arms out to the side, or heart bench, where a block at a medium height replaces the bolster. And for my body, a second block supports the back of the head. So these butterfly legs is sort of a quintessential sacral chakra shape. The shape of openness and vulnerability. It's an inviting shape. And the words I'll ask you to turn over in your head here are, I enjoy a healthy and passionate life. I enjoy a healthy and passionate life. whatever version of this you're in, tuck your chin to your chest, gently roll off to the side, remove your props, and then come back onto your back. Put a generous bend in your knees with the soles of your feet on the earth. Take your feet out wide, full mat width apart, and then let your knees collapse into center. Now, if that's too much pressure anywhere in your hips, place a block or a bolster in between your knees. And you could do anything you want with your arms. Sometimes here, I like my hands, palms facing down on the bottom of my rib cage on either side. And the words that I'll ask you to turn over in your head here are, I attract like-minded people who support me and love me for who I am. I attract like-minded people who support me and love me for who I am.
Using great body mechanics, start to shift into any final resting shape. On your seat, your belly, your back, or your side, anything that allows you to balance effort and ease.
And to draw some deeper breaths. Inviting that pranic life force energy back into your body. And if your body feels like movement, we're at the start of our day, not the finish, so it might be nice to reanimate your body with some small movements, maybe wiggling your fingers or your toes, or maybe finding a way to move your neck that feels healing. And then start to transition for small movements to medium movements that could look like rotating your hands at the wrists, your feet at the ankles. It could be something completely different. And then eventually from medium-sized movements to large movements, maybe a full body stretch, maybe you slide the soles of your feet onto the earth, put a big bend on your knees, windshield wiper your legs back and forth. Eventually, make your way over onto either side into a fetal position. Take 3 or 4 breaths here. Take a moment. Allow the goodness of your practice to settle into your whole being, the whole organism of you. And then press yourself up into any seated position, any soft eyes. You can do anything you like with your hands. Thank you, friend, for moving and breathing with me this morning. May you live life as your most authentic self and have all of your needs met. If you're moved to do so, draw your thumbs to the space between your eyebrows. Blessings to you and your family. And that concludes our practice for today.
Thank you, Chris.
My pleasure, friend. Great job. How do you feel?
Good. Awake.
Good. Yeah, that was a bit of a fiery yin practice.
Yeah. I liked it. And I'm just so happy I made it.
Well, once again, friend, my name's Chris. I'm from Transformation Nation Yoga and Wellness. Thank you so much for joining us for the yin formatted Swadhisthana Sacral Chakra Yoga. You're doing amazing. Keep going.